there, and welcome to the channel. I'm Cassidy Cash. This is the place where we talk about history, specifically what was going on between 1564 and 1616, the life of William Shakespeare. I love to show you where history is reflected in Shakespeare's plays, and we talk a lot here about games, recipes, crafts, and weird pieces of history, all from the 16th and 17th century. If that sounds like your cup of tea, or maybe your mug of mead or flagon of ale, then hit that like and subscribe button because I'm here every week. In Shakespeare's play Romeo and Juliet, the nurse talks about Juliet's birthday being on Lammas-Eve. She talks about how she'll turn 14 on the Lammas-Eve, which is July 31st, the night before Lammas Day, which is August 1st. Since August 1st is coming up next Thursday, I thought you might like to know what Lammastide means, or why did they celebrate it? Let's find out right now on That Shakespeare Life. The word Lammas comes from the expression Loaf Mass Day, which is a Christian holiday celebrating the harvest. It takes place exactly in between the spring and autumn equinoxes, and it's a celebration of the grain harvest. The stores of grain would have been running out. They'd have been coming to the very end of what they had harvested the previous year, round about July. And the harvest at the start of August was a celebration of renewal, a return of plenty when it comes to grains, which you can make things like bread. And it was an essential pillar of their diet. And certainly before Shakespeare, England and Anglo-Saxon society had relied very heavily on the harvest and the grain and the bread. So this was not a small thing to be celebrating. Now, according to biblical tradition, God asks his followers for the first fruits of their labor. Today, this is known as tithe. Loaf Mass Day is an offering day of this tithe to the Lord of the first fruits of the grain harvest. It was marked by the making of bread from the first ripened grains of the season. Now, my friend and previous guest on That Shakespeare Life, Neil Buttery, has recently written an article for Country Life magazine that walks you through the Anglo-Saxon history of the bread made for Lammas. And I'll link you to his information so you can check that out further if you'd like to travel back before Shakespeare into the history of Lammas bread itself. But for Shakespeare's lifetime, Lammas would have been a major holiday marked by weeks of celebration that spanned the time in and around August 1st. It was a lot like how Christmas time today is celebrated as generally the time period around December 25th. Lammastide was the phrase that you used for that time period around August 1st. The beginning of August and August 1st in particular would have been marked by Loaf Mass Day, where people would go to church and they would actually bring a loaf of bread that had been made from the newly harvested grain to the church to be blessed by the clergy. But remember next Wednesday on July 31st to wish Juliet a very happy birthday. Assuming Romeo and Juliet was written in 1595, and I say assuming because that play is dated to the years 1594 to 1596, so we're not sure when in that time period Shakespeare wrote it, but for the sake of argument, let's say it was written right in the middle of 1595, then that would make next Wednesday Juliet's 429th 14th birthday. So you can wish her a happy birthday next Wednesday. And if you'd like to bake some bread for your own Lammas celebration, then bake it on Thursday, August 1st. And you can use traditional grains from Shakespeare's lifetime, which if we go by his plays and the grains that he mentions there, that would include wheat, rye, barley, vetches, oats, and peas, all of which are mentioned as a group in The Tempest. Come back next week because I'll take you through these grains and we'll talk about the history of some of these harvest crops and what you can make with them if you'd like to recreate some 17th century breads. That's it for this week. Thank you for watching. I'm Cassidy Cash, and I hope you have a wonderful Lammas celebration this week and that you learned something new about the bard. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.